Hello everyone, welcome! This is Mercurio, veteran game master, being dungeon mastering for over 25 years and a game designer, and today we're going to make the strongest possible cleric. Now, a disclaimer, if you want to play with any race, any class, just do it, get the class you find the coolest, get the race you find the coolest, and ride to the horizon. As a wise trend says, D&D is for everyone. But now, if you're interested in making the strongest possible cleric, I'm going to show you. Let's do it. First we have to understand what is a cleric. As it says here, cleric are representatives of the gods they worship, wielding potent divine magic for good or evil. The cleric can be either good or evil or neutral, right? Depends of their deity. So as a cleric, you choose a deity. And now here on Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access, you can choose between several deities from Forgotten Realms. Some good, some evil, some neutral. And then usually when you choose a deity, this deity has access to some domains. Domains are, let's say, spheres where the cleric is where the god is most influent in. For example, if you choose a deity like, where is Mystra? Okay, today like Mystra, as the mother of all magic, Mystra oversees the weave and spreads arcane knowledge to mortal spellcasters. Her clerics preserve ancient lore and protects bastions of magical energy. You'd say that Mystra probably will have the domain of knowledge, the domain of arcane, and I don't know, another domain. I really don't know the domains of Mystra. You can probably check that on if not on the player's handbook D&D, Sword Coast Adventure Guide, the Adventure Guide maybe. Well, but that's not important. But usually, a deity will only present 3 or 4 domains for you to choose from. Why? Because you have like life domain. Look at the life domain. The life domain is an aspect of many good deities, offering spells that protect and restore the mind, body and soul. So that's a good domain. Usually good deities have it. You wouldn't expect, let's go, Baal to have it, because Baal is the notorious god of murder, reborn after each of his descendants were viciously slain. He has a tenuous alliance with Mirkul and Bane, the three having attained divinity in a bargain with the fallen god Jurgo. So you don't expect the god of murder to have access to life domain. So in D&D, on tabletop, you wouldn't be able to do it. Right now, Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access is not like, it's not restricting any access, but I hope it will. I really hope it will. So okay, so now we know what is a cleric. How does a cleric play? Well, let's see what a cleric gets. First, a cleric is a spellcaster, what we call a main spellcaster. So you're going to have lots of cantrips, and you're going to have tons of spells. Now let's see what the cleric gets. Average hit points per level. The cleric actually gets he throws a d8 for his life per level. But you in Baldur's Gate, you always get the average. The average that they will give you is a 5. So the average points per level is 5, but you start, level 1, you start maxing. Always maxing these dice, these hit point dice. So it's an 8. Since this cleric here have a 16 constitution, I have an 8 plus 3, and then that's 11. So this cleric here would start with 11 hit points, which is good. Very good. So let's see now. Wisdom saving throw and Charisma saving throw proficiency. Proficiency means you get a bonus whenever you do something. So if you have a Wisdom saving throw, whenever someone is trying to affect your mind or stuff like that, and you need to do a Wisdom saving throw against that effect, you throw d20, you add your proficiency, and you add your Wisdom modifier. Proficiency starts at +2 and increases at some levels. Level 20, and actually I think that's level 18th or 17th, maybe, I forgot, but at the end of the game, your maximum proficiency will be a +6 to that score. So yeah. And Wisdom saving throw is very good, because Wisdom is arguably the strongest possible saving throw you can have with Constitution. So very good. Charisma saving throw, that's okay. We know how to use light armor, we know how to use medium armor, we know how to use shield, and we have simple weapon proficiency. So being able to use medium armor and shield makes us the tankiest spellcasters, wizards can do it, warlocks can do it, sorcerers can do it, bards, initially they can't do it, but there are some bards who can yield medium armors and shields, but not initially. And druids can do it, but they can't wear metal armor, at least in D&D. We're going to see later how the druid is in another video. So that makes us the strongest, not strongest, the tankiest caster from the get-to-go, which is nice. Another nice thing about them, you can see here, level 1 spells, slots unlocked. What does that mean? That means we actually have access to all spells in the game for clerics, and you can memorize from that. Not like mage, not like wizards. Wizards have the spell book, and then they have to add spells to their spell book every time they gain a level, or when they fight a scroll they want to copy to the spell book. Or like sorcerers or warlocks, that they only know a little bit of spells. No, cleric know it all from their lists, and they can choose every day what to memorize. So that's great. That is really great. So now let's have a look on... Okay, now we know what a cleric is, but what do we choose on the beginning? Well, we actually make the most important choice for clerics just on the beginning, which is our domain. That was a talk about a deity giving us some domains. So here on Baldur's Gate Early Access we have 3 domains to choose from, and I really think in the end of the game we will only have these 3. I'm thinking it because I don't know if they will start with more than 3 subclasses to every class. I hope they do. I hope I'm wrong on this one. We have the life domain, the light domain, and the trickery domain. Trickery domain, by the way, is the same domain as Shadowheart. So let's see what trickery cleric gains that other cleric do not gain. Well, first, you have a subclass feature. That's our domain subclass. Domain spells. So all clerics, they know, they can memorize their spells. And they also always have memorized 2 domain spells. Let's see, and some of these domain spells can be from other lists, other lists. Like, does not have to be spells normally from the cleric list, and that's the case here with the trickery domain. Look, we start with Charm Person and with this guy's Self. We know these spells and we always have it memorized. And I think these are 2 spells that clerics do not have normally. I'm pretty certain about this guy's Self. And I think I'm certain about Charm Person, so that's actually very good. I actually think to have more spells that you don't usually have access as domain spells, that's great. So that is a great feature here for the trickery domain. And I also think this guy's Self is a great spell, especially in Baldur's Gate, because you can change your race and maybe have more dialogue options. Yeah, very good. We also get an action here called Blessing of the Trickster. You grant another creature advantage. Advantage means you throw 2 dice and pick the better one. On stealth checks, you can only use this blessing on 1 creature at a time. But see, there is no duration here. That means we can always make so one of our guys have advantage on stealth checks, which is very good. If you're making a stealthy group, yeah, that's very good. You can get that guy in full plate that usually would have disadvantage on stealth check, and you use these on him. Now they will throw their stealth check normally, you know? Yeah, pretty good. Or you get that very stealthy rogue that wants to solo the content, you know, maybe you're doing Astarion solo, just cast on him and do it. I would recommend you do your own rogue and make Shadowheart does that on you. Okay, nice. Let's go to the next domain now. Now that's the life domain. What do we get as a life domain? Well, we have here subclass features. Heavy armor proficiency. Oh, yes, some clerics, some domains give you access to heavy armor, the best armors in the game. That means this cleric will be able to use a full plate. So he'll have a 18th armor class with a plate only, 20 armor class with a plate and a shield. That's a great tank, my friends. So yeah, pretty good. That alone is pretty good because that can make you dump dexterity. So if you look at my ability scores, ability points here, that's what I did. I dumped dexterity and then I put constitution, wisdom, and strength. Why would I go strength? Well, because since we're wearing a full plate, I don't want to be encumbered all the time, you know. Baldur's Gate 3 makes so your character carries stuff and you get stuff over your weight limit. You have to be sending stuff to other members of the party. I find that a hassle. So I would just make a cleric like this here. Just strong. And also on the earliest levels, I mean level 1 to 4, you can sometimes clubber people with your melee weapon. That will be better than casting a cantrip. But from level 5th and forward, then that's not as good. Why, you ask? Because level 5th, most classes that make attacks will gain a second class, most classes. And spellcasters that are cantrips deal more damage. So, cleric. The main cantrip for a cleric is called Sacred Flame. You target someone, they have to do a dexterity saving throw. If they fail, they take 1d8 radiant damage. Level 5, they will take 2d8 radiant damage. That's much better than clobbering someone with a melee weapon. But from level 1 to 4, you can do it. Alright, and you can, so that would be a cleric with a full plate. That's stats for a cleric with a full plate right here. And we also gain Disciple of Life. Let's see. Your devotion powers your healing spells. When casting a healing spell, the target regains additional hit points equal to 2 plus the spell level. So what does that mean? Well, we can see just here. Let's also see the domain spells. They have Bless and Cure Wounds as domain spells. Now, that's not as good because these are 2 spells that cleric usually have access, so you're not gaining new spells from your domains. I don't like it that much, but that's alright. So, whenever you go to heal someone with a Cure Wounds spells, here says, a creature you touch regains 1d8 plus 3 hit points. Why plus 3, you ask? Because it's actually 1d8 plus your Wisdom modifier. And we have a 16th Wisdom here that gives us a plus 3. That's our Wisdom modifier. Okay, so whenever you heal someone, in average, you're healing 8 hit points. If we are a Cleric of Life, we are going to add 2 plus the spell level. The spell is level 1 here, so that means you're going to be adding 6 to that amount. So actually the heal will be for 1d8 plus 6 hit points. Now that's great. That is amazing. We're going from an average of 8 to an average of 11. So that's fucking huge, isn't it? I would say so. That's almost 50% more. So yeah, it's a very good feature if you want to heal. That's what the life clerics are. They are the main healers, the cleric healers of the game. And every cleric on level 2, they gain something called Channel Divinity. They can use it only on level 2. They can use it only once per short rest. Is it once or twice? Once per short rest. I'm pretty certain. And you can use that to turn undead. Turn undead makes so you scare undead or you destroy undead that are weaker on the spot. Or you can use the own Channel Divinity that your deity gives you access, depending on your domains. Life clerics will have one that heals people, which is very nice. Okay, so now we know what the life cleric does. Let's go to the light cleric, and that, by the way, is going to be the cleric that we are going to make, a light cleric. So, the light domain is offered by deities of justice, magic, and primordial flame, providing spells that dispel darkness and harm the undead, and also the living. Because disclaimer ahead, this cleric, level 5, they get the fireball, and everyone knows the fireball is the spell that all wizards want to get. I'm just kidding, it's a node. Just kidding, but not, you know, because level 5, dealing 86 damage on a big area is pretty great. So fireball is great, and this cleric will have a fireball. So that is pretty nice. Yeah, okay, that's nice. You're not going to be a cleric of Baal, by the way. I don't think Baal would give us light. Look at this description here. But we're going to be a cleric of... Let's choose a god of justice here. We probably have Tyr, Tempus, Lot of Battles, Tyr. Maybe we have Helm. Helm is nice. The Watcher is an eternal sentry among the gods, representing guardians across the planes. After more than a century of fading worship, Helm's power was restored with the Second Sundering. Yeah, I think that's alright. Pretty majestic. Let's be a god of Helm. I would prefer to be a god of Lathander. That's kind of the aspect of Helm, but we don't have Lathander here. So Helm will do it. Nice. Alright, so we chose our cleric. Let's see what the light cleric gets. So we get a cantrip, an extra cantrip, light. That's a good cantrip, light. If you don't have any, if you have someone with all dark vision, just cast on the creature. Costs no concentration, you can repeatedly cast, so you can guarantee that you're going to explore better. So this human here would actually be casting light on her weapon all the time. Basically all the time. That you're exploring on some place that does not have sun at least. And we get Warding Flare. Shield yourself with Divine Light. Use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attacker, potentially causing their attacks to miss. So how is that on the tabletop? How is that on the book? That's a reaction that you use. You can use this only once. You can use this a number of times per day, equals to your wisdom modifier. So this human would be able to use only 3 times per day. And whenever someone attacks you, you can choose the same time. Oh, the GM say, hey, Mercurio, I'm attacking you with this goblin. And then I'm like, alright, I'm going to using Warding Flare. The goblin would have to attack with disadvantage. What means is, they roll 2 dice and pick the worst one. But here on Baldur's Gate, you actually have to toggle your reactions. So that means that you don't get to choose, because imagine if there is a goblin and an ogre. So the DM says, hey Mercurio, I'm attacking you with the goblin. We're like, oh wait, the goblin, I'm not using Warding Flare, so the goblin attacks me. And now it's the ogre turn. Hey Mercurio, I'm attacking you with the ogre. Oh, that's nice, an ogre does a lot of damage, so I'm using Warding Flare. Here in Baldur's Gate, you can't do that. You're going to toggle Warding Flare, and if a goblin attacks you before the ogre, well, you're screwed. You're going to use for the goblin and you can't use for the ogre. I don't like how reactions are here, I hope they change. But there is something strange here. It's not showing us the maximum amount you can do. So, is it the case that this cleric can do this all turns? If that's the case, then that's stupidly overpowered. We're going to check. I hope not. Domain spells. Now we get 2 nice domain spells that we usually wouldn't be able to cast as clerics. That's the Burning Hands. So fire shoots from your outstretched fingers. It ignites anything flammable and deals 3d6 fire damage. So that's pretty good. It's a cone of fire. Not very big one, but that's a cone of fire that deals lots of damage. That's a pretty good spell. That's one spell that I usually would choose as a wizard level 1. And a Fiery Fire. Now that's a more circumstantial spell. Encase multiple targets in a colorful light. The targets turn visible and attack rolls against the target have advantage. You roll twice the 20 and pick the best result. So that's circumstantial, but that is a good spell, okay? Because reveal invisible creatures, which is nice. And even if they are not invisible, if you cast on multiple creatures, and that's a big area here. If they fail their dexterity saving throw, now everyone in your power will have advantage to attack it. So that is a nice spell. It's good to have it. So pretty nice spell that we have here. So our cleric is sounding great already. Alright, so we talked about our first level decision. Let's pick the race now, and then on the second part of the video we are going to talk about what spells we are going to be using mostly. So the races. Here, this distribution is not good for a light cleric. The light cleric can't use heavy armor, so we actually need to have some dexterity. So this is only good for life cleric. For clerics that can wear heavy armor. So for the race, humans, you could do a human, but not the best one for a light or trickery cleric. We could do a half elf wood elf, because what do you want? We want wisdom and constitution as our main attributes, but we want to have a dexterity of 14th, because medium armor allow us at most to have +2 from dexterity to our armor class, and we want to cap that. So the ability score that we want to end up is like that. Let me hold. We have to have some to lose some strength here. Okay, more strength. So that's pretty much what we're looking for. Not that, because that does not give us constitution, but you understand the gist. Wisdom maximized. Constitution, we want to have it on 16th, so this cleric, that's because, I know, that's because of that. So, here and here, nice. So, Wisdom maximized, Constitution maximized, 16th, 14th Dexterity, and whatever you can on Strength. I think that's the best cleric for light armor. I would do that. So the half wood elf is great. Just wood half elf, sorry. Just because you can get very nice stats and it's still an elf, so you're immune to sleep, you have dark vision, you're faster, and you gain stealth proficiency. You're not going to be used that much as a cleric, but well, I mean, with that dexterity, actually pretty neat, right? But probably some armors will give you disadvantage on stealth, some medium armor, so that's big. So that means you're not going to be the stealthy one. If you want to go this route, maybe get 3 So, but that's a good race. And wood elf would also kind of work. It gives you wisdom and dexterity, but no constitution. So what is the best race? That's the best race. The gold dwarf is amazing, because you get that good old dwarf resilience, so advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to poison damage. Resistance means we take half damage only for impulsive damage. You get +2 constitutions. Now you know how to use some weapons. And some weapons here wouldn't be on your clerical list. I think that's the case for the Battle Axe. Oh, nice. And you get Dark Vision, always good. Dwarven Toughness is amazing. Look, your maximum hit points increase by 1 and increase by 1 again every time you gain a level. So more hit points, always good. Raise lower. I know that's usually a bad thing. Actually, it's always a bad thing. But Cleric, they do not care to be slow. I mean, yes, sometimes it would be better to be faster, but I'd say that's one of the classes that loses the least being slow. Because you're going to be walking, attacking from a distance, usually, and you can heal from distance, usually. And usually the furry group, they tend to, let's say, gravitate around you, not the opposite. And you will get 1 wisdom. So what would be our ability scores here? You can live like that. There is always a chance that you want at some point to get resilient in Constitution. That's a feat that would increase your Constitution by 1 and give you proficiency in Constitution throws. Or if you want, you can cut this and add to Strength. So now you're a little bit stronger, can carry more stuff, and you're a little bit more efficient attacking at this level. Although I would say I wouldn't attack with 12 strength on melee, I'll just cast cantrips. But I'd say that's good to carry more stuff around. We might do that, I don't know. But it's one way or the other, okay? She's pretty cute, so actually, yeah. These kind of the gold dwarfs, they're pretty cute already. I like them. Pick your best, like your best face here. All their faces are adorable. I find the males a little bit goofy, but at least without a beard. But what is a dwarf without a beard, right? With a beard, they're actually very nice. Yeah, so just rock with any face you want. And now we are going to the second part. Now we're going to talk about the spells. So what spells do our clerics get? Let's see. Not many cantrips here, so we get guidance. That's the best cantrip in the game. You just every time you need to talk with someone, you can add this 1d4, which is great, and that's automatic. You know, you don't need to cast and then talk to someone. You can just choose to have the bonds automatically. And the thing is, the cleric does not even need to be you. Shadowheart can gives you all the time if you're not a cleric. Resistance. You cast on someone, they get a 1d4 to their saving throws. That's not very good. But sometimes you're going to use it. Maybe you can use it as a pre-buff. We know you're going to have a combat, just cast on someone. And that's it. It's a concentration spell. Sacred Flame, a very good cantrip. No other spellcaster, basic spellcaster, can have it. So 1d8 flame radiant damage. Radiant's very good damage. Almost nothing will resist them radiant, and yeah, pretty great. And Thaumaturgy. I think that's Thaumaturgy, right? Well, correct me. Manifest a sign of supernatural power that grants you advantage on intimidation and performance checks. So that's nice. That's nice here. There's like I think that will. Can we do it when we're talking to someone? I mean, can we do it like to choose when you have to intimidate someone and or do some performance check like we can do with guidance? I hope so. We are going to have this, so we're not having resistance, we're having Thaumaturgy, and so these are our 3 counters. And now let's go ahead and see our spells. So remember we have these 2 spells, Burning Hands and Fairy Fire. So let's talk about the spells we get. Bane. Choose 3 creatures, they receive 1d4 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws. Bane is not a bad spell. Okay, it's a concentration spell, yes, but not a bad spell. I can see using sometimes, but I think Glass is a better version of it. It's the same stuff, but instead of nerfing someone, you actually buff your party. So I think that's better. Usually, that's better. So we are not using Bane, usually. But sometimes we might, sometimes if you're fighting someone that's lots of attacks, or someone you need to make so they will fail a saving throw, then you might have Bane to combo. You're a cleric, all these spells you don't only have to memorize on the beginning of the day, so you can experiment around it. So Blast, we just talked about it. Command Halt. You command a creature to halt, preventing it from moving or taking actions. Well, you spend your turn to make so not your turn. You spend your action to make so the target will not be able to take an action or move. I think they can still take bonus actions here, but I'm not sure. That's not the best spell for this. There are many other better spells because they have to pass a Wisdom saving throw. They have to fail a Wisdom saving throw. So not the best. And on D&D you can use command to make the grovel, so they will fall on the ground. That's much better. For maybe if they add that would be better. Create or destroy water, you actually make it rain. Divinity 2, yeah, that's the same stuff. Larian loves this spell, and actually that's nice because you can put off fires. We are actually memorizing that just because Larian loves this kind of shit. Cure wounds. You need to touch someone and you cure them by 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier. That's a good cleric spell. It scales very well because if you cast it on level 4, it will be 4d8 plus 3. But we're not memorizing it because we are memorizing Healing Word. Cure Wounds spends an action to do that, and from melee. Healing Word spends a bonus action to do that, and you can do that from 18 meters. And yeah, the heal is a less heal, 1d4 plus 3, but on average that's only 2 hit points. Yeah, so that's much better on level 1. Guiding Bolt, I like Guiding Bolt. Level 1 Guiding Bolt is amazing. 18 meters, you go through a beam at someone, if you hit it, 4d6 radiant damage is a big damage, and next party member that attacks the target have advantage on the attack roll. So pretty amazing spell. Attacking spell, I'd always pick it. Inflict Wounds, that's another attacking spell. You need to hit, but you do 3d10 damage necrotic. But that's from melee, that's the problem here. It's a melee spell. And it does not give us the bonus afterwards. So on average, this spell will be doing 18 points of damage, while Guiding Bolt on average will be doing 14 points of damage. So that's 4 more points of damage here, which is great. But necrotic damage is worse than radiant because several undead will have resistance to it, and also some demons, devils. And that's melee, and that's ranged. And also, this one gives another benefit, attacking roll, advantage on attacking roll for the next character that attacks the target that took the spell. So I'd say Guiding Bolt is better most of the time. But if you want to be a necromancer, if you really want to be on people's face, maybe Inflict Wound would be nice. Protection from Even Good, that is a good spell. We're not going to have it right now, but if we know we have a fight against a big baddie and we want to make sure our tank will survive, well, Protect from Evil makes so all aberrations, celestials, elementals, fays, fiends, and undead, pretty much everything, it will have disadvantage attacking on the one who has this buff. So that's an amazing spell against these kind of creatures. So that's what I mean. If you have a big baddie that is this type of creatures and you want to make sure your tank will be able to tank it, I think that is nice to memorize this one. Now Shield of Faith. That's an amazing spell. Here, much better than the game. But look, than in D&D tabletop. Surround the creature with a shivering field of magic that increases its armor class by 2. Plus 2 armor class is a great bonus, guys. A great buff. That's like 10% harder for someone to hit you. You know, so that is very good. And it says here, rest, it lasts until long rest. That is stupid. So overpowered. On the game would last for, I think it's 10 minutes, might be 1. But you understand the difference here. So that is amazing spell. We're going to have it. It is a concentration spell, I know it, but we don't have anything else to concentrate on. That's a spell we're going to be concentrated either on us or on our tank. So that is amazing. So that's our selection. We could change it, adapt it if we deem necessary. But what about skills, you ask? Look, I think skills on Baldur's Gate 3 is much freer, much more free than it is on the game. On the game, usually the players want to make sure they're not overlapping many skills, so they can cover everything. Here you control every party member, they have their own skills. I like to be walking around with my main guy. So if I am this dwarf lady here, I'll be walking around with her and I will try and do everything with her. That's how I play it. So usually I would recommend you to get skills that have that are the coolest for you, but especially skills that use wisdom as their main attribute. So from here would be insight and medicine. Yeah. But if you get some background or race that gives you survival, perception, that's great because they also will use wisdom. Yeah, so that's what I will roll for. Pretty much free, you know, here. Maybe if you want to be on the safe side, if someone grapples you, maybe you always want to have one of either acrobats or athletics. So in this case, in the case of the cleric, maybe we go for an origin that gives us one of these. So we could be an entertainer, or we could be an outlander that gives athletics. Outlander is pretty good, athletics and survival, 2 good skills for us. Or a soldier. Actually, I would roll with a soldier. Just so, yeah, I despite having a horrible charisma, I would roll a soldier just to test the cantrip that gives us advantage. So I would have athletics, intimidation, and then probably insight and medicine. I would know nothing about my god. That's pretty lame, right? Usually I don't like to make clerics that don't know about their god, so I wouldn't have medicine, I would have religion. That's what I would do on a table. But maybe here in Baldur's Gate we're not rolling playing with other people, maybe I would do that. So that's pretty much free. You choose for yourself. What skills do you like? Just leave a comment, I have no idea, so I want to know about your opinions. What did you think? What is your favorite cleric from D&D? And what about Baldur's Gate? Which cleric are you playing? I don't know. But now, if you want to join my party of adventurers, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. See ya!